Welcome to episode 692 of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salcido, and tonight I am sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord, or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of my show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank the host of Troubled Minds Radio, Michael Strange, for having me on the network and putting my shows up there. If you'd like to support my show, you can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can also find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction. You can also sign up to the Patreon page and get extra content whenever possible, whenever I'm able to make it and release it. Or you can just make one-time donations through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. And just a quick reminder on that, when I say research materials, that can include just various streaming platforms for listening to different documentaries or TV shows, to review the TV shows or movies later on, and use the documentaries for research. So that is part of that as well. So I think that takes care of everything, and we can get to the true stories here. And let me see here. Get back to the file. Thank you all again for being here and listening. And let me get to the next one here. This one says, I went too far. Okay, here we go. This one says, I worked at an old pub from the 1700s for over a year. So this is in the UK. The pub was rumored to be haunted, as many old pubs are. During one shift, another staff member and I played a prank on another staff member who was easily spooked. She was tasked with turning off all the 6 TVs, all 6 TVs spread across different rooms in the pub, which I secretly turned back on. She got spooked, but laughed it off after we revealed the prank. Excuse me. I need to talk better. After closing, I went to the staff area to gather my belongings. The staff area was down a set of stairs, past customer restrooms, cellar door, and storage rooms. The layout had narrow corridors, thick stone walls, and low ceilings. I distinctly heard voices, shuffling sounds, and footsteps of my coworkers, but found no one else in the staff room or nearby areas. I froze in fear, as the sounds had no apparent source. Following this, I decided not to play any more ghost pranks again. Toward the end of my time working at the pub, I learned how to change beer barrels in the cellar. Standing outside the locked cellar door with my manager triggered a forgotten memory from my first day. On my first shift, I ran into a man exiting the cellar area, which I initially thought was part of the customer space. The man was old, large, with a long beard and a big coat. The man did not acknowledge me when I almost bumped into him. I forgot about the incident until seeing the locked cellar door. I mentioned this encounter to my manager, who reacted strongly, suspecting a potential burglary. However, it would have been impossible for a customer, to access the cellar, as it was locked with a key code and contained nothing of value. I don't know about that. That's beer. That has value. But anyway, I described the man, hoping he might be recognized as a customer. The manager revealed that the man's description matched a story from a previous pub owner about a ghost believed to haunt the pub. So it is possible that I encountered a full body apparition without realizing it at the time. And that's where that one ends. And that's always amazing when you find these accounts of experiences where people don't even know at the time that they saw anything weird. And they don't find out about it until after the fact. And that always leads to the question, for me and for others I've heard before too, when you're talking about that, how many people that you see moving around anywhere that is not your own home or a place where you know everybody, how many people that are just moving around in these places all the time, how many of them are apparitions? How many of them are not regular, normal people as far as living and in the same sort of space that we are here? And so that's always amazing when you have that account of experience that someone doesn't even know they've had until after the fact. And yeah, that sounds like I don't run into them all the time, but I've heard a lot of accounts of experiences from places like that in the UK and just in general, bars and pubs and all those kinds of places. There seems to be a lot of activity around that type of an environment. So, and especially if you have a place like that where it's the location, the building itself is hundreds of years old. I'm sure that may help with sort of containing energy and possibly imprints and or maybe even people that after they pass, they liked the place so much they wanted to visit or stay there. Who knows? But yeah, so that was a neat one there. Moving on to the next one here. And let's see here. Need to scroll up a little bit. I think okay. So this, and what's also amazing about this is when I'm finding these accounts, sometimes you'll get a couple that are about similar kinds of locations. So what I mean by that, here we go. This one says, I live in an old market town in the UK and work as a pub cleaner on Saturday and Sunday mornings from around 7:30 till 9 a.m. The pub, which is the oldest in the town, dates back to the 1600s and is reputed to be haunted. I wonder, with a little bit of discrepancy there on the times and everything, could it be the same one or maybe a different one? Either way is still fascinating. Says it features oak paneling, creaky floors, and an ancient, eerie atmosphere. I have been cleaning the pub for 4 months, and I'm always alone during my shifts. My routine involves cleaning the toilets, sweeping the bar and lounge, and then sweeping and mopping a large back room. The back room has historical significance as a courtroom used by Oliver Cromwell during the English Civil War for royalist trials. 2 weekends ago, after the Christmas decorations went up, I began my cleaning as usual. I entered the back room and felt slightly uneasy. I noticed the kitchen door was slightly ajar, despite having a self-closing mechanism. I dismissed it as a breeze, closed the door, and continued cleaning. While mopping the back room, the atmosphere felt colder and oppressive, as though I was being watched from a corner by the fireplace. The kitchen door opened again, a few inches, despite being shut moments earlier. As I mopped, the Christmas lights around the room undulated in a wave-like pattern along the wall. I attributed this to the wind, but felt uneasy. Less than a minute after shutting the door, I heard footsteps moving from the door, past the fireplace, along the wall, and out of the room. I tracked the sound with my ears and eyes, but saw no one. Feeling unwelcome and unnerved, I grabbed my coat, set the alarm, and quickly left the building. As I left the courtyard and approached the back gate, the gate opened on its own and then slammed shut behind me. There was no wind at the time. I am positive there is no natural explanation for what happened, and that's where that one ends. That is, to me, amazing. I really wonder if, because it sounds like they worked there before, had no problems, and then this one weekend, someone was there, possibly, that they couldn't see, and didn't care for them being there. Whenever there's these encounters, especially like a one-time deal, I always wonder. Of course, the person that is writing about the experience or has the experience feels unwelcome, but what if there's another person there that they just can't see? What is that person feeling? What if that's one of their spaces that they're used to staying in or being in, and to them, the stranger comes in, and maybe they are not feeling welcome, or they're feeling like there's someone in their building, a building that they know anyway, where there's not supposed to be anyone. I always wonder about the interaction between the different levels of reality and the people that may be in those levels, and sort of, yes, these things that can be frightening, but I always wonder, is it also frightening or unnerving to whoever else is out there that we can't usually or always see or hear, except once in a while, like in cases like this. So I thought that was an amazing one there. Hopefully, that was the one and only time that ever happened to that person. I'm guessing that hopefully it is, because again, they worked there for some weekends before that, and then hopefully didn't have any problems. So, but yeah, that's an amazing one. Moving on to the next one here. Let's see. Just scroll down a little bit again. All right. This one says, this happened a few years ago during the night. I was riding with a friend in their car. The car was traveling at about 80 kilometers per hour or 50 miles per hour. I was looking straight ahead at the road. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed something resembling a shadow figure, but it was all white rather than black. The figure appeared to be standing on a traffic refuge between two traffic lights. When I turned my head to look directly at it, the figure was gone. I did not feel any negative emotions, such as being watched, discomfort, or unease. I am curious about what I saw. Has anyone else had a similar experience? Or can anyone offer an explanation? And that's where that one ends. That really is amazing. I've heard of similar accounts of sort of these opposite of a shadow figure, and I wonder if over time some people have seen those and not thought about or not been aware of the shadow figure. And I'm just thinking about this now, and so in those cases, that's what they thought of as being a ghost. In other words, it's all bright, or it's all, I don't know if it's all light or if it's all just, again, if it's not light and it somehow is still appearing as white or as that color, but yeah, I don't know what to make of that except that it's possible. I wonder if that's what some people have over time thought of as a ghost, and but now there's more reports and more awareness, I think, in general, of shadow figures, and so this figure that is the opposite of that is sort of not lumped in, but just the best way people can describe this kind of figure is like a shadow figure, except white instead of dark or black there. So I don't know, but that's where my mind goes to, and of course I have no idea what that is or why it's there or anything like that. I'm glad that it didn't appear to be menacing in any way. So it's always hard to know what's going on and why these images appear and all that. But yeah, that's an amazing one. I think we have time to get at least one more in here for tonight before we end this episode here. Let's see here. This one says, I work in labs, I mean scientific labs here, converted from an old hospital. While leaving the changing area rooms, I saw a figure in a white lab coat and gray trousers walking down the corridor. The figure had dark hair and was in, I'm not sure why this is connected, but and was in a restricted area where white lab coats are not permitted. In this area, staff are required to wear mauve coats, that's the color apparently, or blue personal protective equipment suits, full suits, depending on the work. When I glanced back, the figure had vanished instantly. This is not my first paranormal experience, but it is an intriguing one. As a scientist, I am skeptical by nature, as I am supposed to be. But I can't ignore what I saw with my own eyes. And we may get through two here because that one was not as long as I thought. Sounds like they saw an apparition of some kind. Now, was it a spirit, or was it, as I talk about so much in the show, because I think it's always possible, the idea of a time anomaly where they were seeing into, or even a residual energy, I guess, if that person, whoever that was, walked around that place enough, either way, where they just, was the writer there, were they seeing either a different time or a person, an image of a different time, basically. of that person walking through, and then it was just there and gone. I don't know. Let's get through at least one more here, because these last two are not too long. This one says, I work at a small business packing online orders and restocking shelves. It's amazing. A lot of, I didn't plan this, but a lot of workplace sort of um, accounts of experiences here as I've been recording tonight. Empty boxes are placed in a hallway connecting the packing area to the main office to be broken down later. One day, while cutting down boxes in the hallway, I heard footsteps and saw a figure or shadow approaching out of the corner of my eye. Thinking it was my boss, who is a male, I moved aside to let them pass. A cheerful young woman's voice said, "Excuse me," as the figure passed behind me. Turning to look, I found the hallway completely empty. Checking the main office, I talked with the receptionist. She said that no one else had been in the hallway, and only the two of us women were in the building at the time. I already felt like the building had a spooky feeling to it, and it is an older building, and that's where that one ends. And yeah, I don't know what that one. That there's always a possibility of these things being residual, and it actually being some kind of energy replay of someone going down the hallway and saying, "Excuse me." But then there's always that part of me that wonders, is that someone that is really there trying to get by? And again, either phasing in or phasing out if it's some kind of weird time anomaly, or a spirit that is just going by and about their business, uh, and and it's slightly seen, barely seen, and then also heard. So we have one more left here, and I want to see if I can get through this one here. Uh, this says, in 2018, I was working as a housekeeper with a different company than the one I am with now. We arrived at a regular elderly couple's home, and parked in our usual spot. While sitting in the car, we saw a tall, blonde, long-haired young woman in a nightgown standing behind the closed screen door of the now open front door. The young woman called out to us, saying the door was unlocked, and inviting us to come in whenever ready. We thanked her and unloaded our cleaning supplies and entered the house. Inside, we greeted the elderly wife, a very small woman, who typically unlocked the door for us, and began cleaning the home. None of the four of us team members encountered the young woman again during our cleaning session. Afterward, our team leader asked the elderly wife about the young woman. The wife claimed no one fitting their description had been in her home. So, wow, I can't talk. And suggested that she must have forgotten to lock the door. We vividly remembered seeing and hearing, responding to the young woman. It was all very strange. The house is very old and located in a historical part of the city. So who knows if that means anything. And that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening. I'll talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.